Alright guys, real quick before we begin, I want to bring up that I have a second channel for non-Pokemon What If content. So, if you enjoy that sort of thing, feel free to head on over there after this video. Link is in the description. Now, on to the story. This video was made in loving memory of my dog, Zoe. Born on July 13th, 2008, and unfortunately left this world on August 24th, 2023. You were a good girl, Zoe. May you rest in peace. Last time when we left off, Ash had just defeated Lieutenant Surge and gotten his Thunder Badge. And Ash is trying to plan out his next move with Misty and Brock. Episode 15. We find Ash and Co. trying to plan out their next move while walking on a bridge, with Ash and Misty pointing out a big luxury cruise ship, with Brock pointing out that they can't afford it. So they walk away and continue planning out their next move. However, Jesse and James, as younger girls, give them a free pass to a Pokemon trainer party aboard the St. Anne, with our trio accepting. Ash, since a Pokemon trainer party has to have some strong trainers to battle and make his Pokemon stronger. Misty, since she could try and study the various water types they could encounter. And Brock, of course, still wants to find girls. Our trio find the cruise ship while Jesse and James place a call to their boss, with the boss having a Persian on his lap, having replaced Meowth after their constant failures. Ash and Co. board and see a Starmie battling a Gentleman's Raticate, with Misty adoring the water type, due to her goal of wanting to be a water Pokemon master. The battle resumes, with Starmie using Water Pulse to hit Raticate for decent damage, although Raticate uses Super Fang to reduce Starmie's health in half. Starmie holds on and decides to end this by using Ice Beam to try and freeze Raticate in place, although the gentleman orders his rat to use Thunderbolt, knocking out Starmie and winning the match for the gentleman. Ash then walks up to the gentleman and asks him for a battle. The gentleman agrees to a one-on-one, with Ash deciding to give Eevee a rest and give his other mons a chance to battle. So Ash decides to pick Charmander to give him some more battle experience, since Brock would have told him the benefits of training all of your Pokemon equally. Ash sends out his Charmander first against the gentleman's Nidorina. The gentleman orders his Nidorina to go in for a tackle attack, with Ash deciding to order a dodge from his Charmander and a flamethrower, which connects, causing Nidorina some decent damage. The gentleman then orders a poison sting, which hits, causing Charmander a little damage. Ash orders his fire lizard to go for another flamethrower, causing the gentleman's Nidorina to get burned. The gentleman orders Nidorina to use double kick, which misses, allowing Charmander to use flamethrower again to knock out Nidorina. The gentleman decides to ask Ash for a trade between his Nidorina and Ash's Charmander. Ash knows that Charmander already has abandonment issues due to his previous trainer, so Ash ultimately declines. Over with Team Rocket, James ends up meeting a Magikarp salesman, with James being conned into buying a Magikarp. The ship sets sail, with the gang chowing down on some food, with Jesse and Meow chastising James for buying a worthless Pokemon, with James revealing that he bought it with the advance on his salary along with Jesse's. This causes Jessie to clobber James for spending her salary without her permission. Team Rocket's plan goes into motion, with the ballroom being locked down and Team Rocket grunts hunting the trainers with vacuum packs to capture their Pokeballs. One of the grunts goes up to Ash and demands his Pokemon, with Ash ordering Eevee to use Zippy Zap on the grunts. Ash then sends out his Kanto starters to help out. With our trio's combined might, Team Rocket is sent blasting off, with our trio along with Jesse, James, and Meowth managing to get on a lifeboat, mainly due to the fact that Ash doesn't have to trade back any Pokemon in this timeline. Episode 16. Our group managed to get back to shore after Ash and Misty used their Squirtles as a makeshift motor to propel the lifeboat back to Vermilion City. Our trio is at the Vermilion City Pokemon Center planning out their next move, when Brock suggests going east from Vermilion City towards routes 11 and 12, then heading north to Lavender Town, then head to Saffron City for Ash's next gym battle. Our trio get their Pokemon healed up and set off. Our trio arrive at Route 11, with Ash sending out all of his Pokemon and decides to train with his Pokemon, with Brock suggesting putting them into groups of 2, allowing them to spar with each other. Eevee is with Bulbasaur, Butterfree is with Pidgeotto, and Charmander is with Squirtle. Ash observes Eevee and Bulbasaur's sparring session first, with Bulbasaur beginning the battle with Vine Whip, although Eevee uses Tackle. Eevee then uses Double Kick, which connects, causing some decent damage to Bulbasaur. Eevee then starts to glow with a bit of a reddish aura, as Eevee is shown using a new move as she charges at Bulbasaur, with this move causing super effective damage, knocking out Bulbasaur. Ash calls back Bulbasaur and congratulates Eevee on learning a new move. An older boy then approaches our trio and says that he was rather impressed by seeing an Eevee that can use a fire-type move that can do damage without becoming a Flareon first. The boy then introduced himself as Tristan, with him sending out his partner, Flareon. Tristan then says that he can help Eevee master that new move of hers, with Ash asking if he can help train Charmander too, with Tristan saying, I don't see why not. Ash recalls Butterfree, Pidgeotto, and Squirtle, allowing Eevee and Charmander to focus on their training. Eevee's training involves trying to use the newly coined Sizzly Slide on command, with Charmander's training involving Flareon trying to teach Charmander 2 new moves, Smokescreen and Fire Spin. This ends up taking a couple of days, with Team Rocket showing up and trying to steal both Eevee and Flareon, mainly due to their rarity. Ash sends out Charmander to fight Team Rocket, with Tristan sending out his Growlithe to help, as Jesse and James call out Coughing and Ekans. Charmander uses Smokescreen, causing Ekans' accuracy to drop, allowing Growlithe to get in close with a bite, allowing Charmander to focus on Coughing and use Fire Spin, allowing constant chip damage on Coughing. While Jesse and James are distracted, Eevee and Flareon form a plan. Eevee using Zippy Zap to try and short out their containment device, while Flareon charges up a Fire Blast to bust out of there. Ashton sends out Pidgeotto to catch Eevee, and Tristan calls out his Fearow to catch Flareon. Then Eevee, Flareon, Growlithe, and Charmander use a combined attack, sending the Rocket Trio blasting off. The episode ends with our trio saying goodbye to Tristan and heading towards Route 12. Episode 17. Our trio head over to Route 12 while Ash battles every trainer in sight, allowing his 6 Pokemon to get even stronger and allowing Charmander to get better control with Fire Spin. Our trio finally arrive on Route 12, with Misty noticing a massive body of water, so Misty decides to send out all of her Pokemon to help them train in the water. Ash also decides to send out his Squirtle to get into training with Misty's water types. Misty pulls out a fishing rod from her bag, with her going over to another part of the bridge and casting out her lure to catch herself a new water type. Misty ends up reeling in a Slowpoke, with Misty calling over her Squirtle for a battle. Squirtle begins the battle with a water gun, with Slowpoke using Confusion on Squirtle, with Squirtle being pushed back from this. Squirtle then goes in for a rapid spin, stunning Slowpoke a bit, allowing Misty to throw a Pokeball and catch it, increasing her team to 5. Misty then celebrates her newest catch with the rest of her Pokemon, with Misty calling it out to join in on the training. During this time, Slowpoke is revealed to know Confusion, Water Gun, Disable, and Yawn. Misty then asks Ash to battle Slowpoke with his Bulbasaur to test her newest catch's capabilities. The battle begins with Misty ordering a Yawn to try and put Bulbasaur to sleep. Ash, worried about Bulbasaur, tries to think of ways that Bulbasaur could avoid going to sleep, with Ash remembering that if you splash someone with cold water, they wake up. So Ash wonders if that concept could apply to Pokemon as well. Right before Bulbasaur falls asleep to the Yawn, Ash yells out the Bulbasaur to splash itself with the nearby water. With this working, Ash then orders Bulbasaur to counterattack with multiple Vine Whips. The battle is interrupted once Team Rocket shows up and tries to steal Eevee. Our trio decide to send out all their Pokemon to deal with this, with Ash sending Pidgeotto to rescue Eevee and pop their balloon. The episode ends with Team Rocket blasting off and our trio heading towards Lavender Town, as Misty eyes a wild horsey that appeared to walk towards the battle, as she stops and throws out Goldeen to battle it, with Goldeen doing surprisingly well against Horsey, as Misty chucks the ball on Horsey and catches the Seahorse Pokemon, increasing her team to 6. Episode 18. Our trio arrive at Lavender Town after Misty brags about her 2 newest catches to Ash, with Ash saying that he'll catch himself a new Pokemon soon. Just then, our trio bump into Richie, another of Ash's childhood friends and rivals. Ash asks his friend what he's doing here, as he says that he's here to catch a ghost Pokemon in the Pokemon Tower to help him defeat Sabrina. This is where Ash learns that ghost Pokemon are good against Psychic-type Pokemon. Ash then asks his friend how many badges he has, with Richie pulling out his badge case and showing him that Richie has 4 badges: the Boulder Badge, the Cascade Badge, the Thunder Badge, and the Rainbow Badge. Richie then says that he tried to challenge Sabrina for his 5th badge, but she was too strong for his team to handle. So he decided to head over to Lavender Town to catch a ghost Pokemon to give himself the type advantage. Ash, thinking this is a good idea, decides to go with him. As they enter, Ash sends out his Charmander, and Richie calls out his Charmeleon, with Ash asking Richie how his Charmander evolved, with Richie recounting the events of his gym battle with Erica, and Richie just having his Charmander left against Erica's Ivysaur. Richie's back was against the wall, as Charmander evolved to try and win, as it learned Flamethrower, allowing Charmeleon to defeat Ivysaur and get his Rainbow Badge. After a while in the tower, Ash and Co find a hole in the floor and discover a Haunter and Gengar watching TV, as a Ghastly appears, making the Haunter and Gengar laugh. After Ash and his friends enter a larger room, the lights suddenly turn on, revealing a dining room with a fully set table. Ash's attention turns to a dangling rope with an instructional note attached. He quickly runs up and pulls it, which releases confetti and a welcome sign. Suddenly, the glassware and chairs begin to levitate. Brock gets thrown around in a chair, while Eevee, Charmander, and Charmeleon find themselves on platters. Ash and Misty run out of the room, with Richie and Brock, along with the other Pokemon following soon after. The tableware and chairs reset, and the ghost Pokemon reappear, laughing at their mischief. Outside, Brock and Misty refuse to enter the tower, with Ash and Richie determined to catch a ghost Pokemon to beat Sabrina. Decide to head in with just their Pokemon. Ash and Richie send out their fire types as they head back into the tower. Ash and Richie end up facing the same thing that Ash and Pikachu faced in canon, with Ash and Richie having the same thing that happened to Ash and Pikachu in canon. Although Ash and Richie do decide to catch the ghost Pokemon in this timeline, with Ash catching Haunter and Richie managing to catch Ghastly. This is also Ash's 7th Pokemon, meaning Haunter gets sent to Oak's lab, with Ash wondering where Haunter's ball went, with Richie explaining that trainers can only carry 6 Pokemon at a time, and their extra Pokemon are stored in Professor Oak's lab. The episode ends with our 4 trainers heading off to Saffron City. Episode 19. Our 4 heroes arrive in Saffron City, with Ash and Richie heading to the Pokemon Center so they can get their Pokemon healed up, and so Ash can call Professor Oak and swap out one of his Pokemon for his newly caught Haunter. Ash then gets to a phone and calls Professor Oak, asking him to transfer over his Haunter, sending his Pidgeotto over to Oak so he can get his Ghost. Ash then gets the rest of his Pokemon healed up, heading to the Saffron Gym afterward. Ash and Richie arrive at the gym and ask for a battle, with Sabrina's doll asking him to play rock, paper, scissors to decide who battles first. Richie ultimately wins, as the battle is declared to be a 3-on-3. Sabrina calls out her first Pokemon, Mr. Mime. Richie thinks for a second and then pulls a ball from his belt. Quacky, I choose you! As a Psyduck pops out of the ball, with Sabrina looking rather unimpressed. Richie then orders Psyduck to use Water Pulse on Mr. Mime, although Sabrina orders a Psychic to try and end this rather quickly. Although Mr. Mime gets hit with the Water Pulse, causing it to get confused. Richie decides to try and capitalize on this, as he orders Psyduck to use Psybeam, which connects, although it doesn't do that much, due to Mr. Mime's resistance to Psychic-type attacks. Richie then decides to just stick to water attacks for now, as Richie has Psyduck charge in with Aqua Tail, with this managing to take Sabrina's first Pokemon out of the fight. Sabrina then calls out her second Pokemon, Exeggutor. Richie, recognizing that this would be a disadvantageous matchup, decides to call back Psyduck for now. Zippo, I choose you! Richie calls out his starter as his second Pokemon, with Charmeleon managing to put up a really good fight against Exeggutor, even managing to knock it out with a flamethrower, although Charmeleon is weakened from the battle. Richie, now having a 2-duo lead, starts to get a bit overconfident, with Sabrina noting that overconfidence is what did him in last time, and decides to call out her Kadabra and put Richie in his place, with Kadabra managing to knock out Charmeleon with little to no effort to decrease Richie's lead. Quacky, I choose you! Psyduck comes back out, and while it tries to put up a decent fight against Kadabra, it too gets knocked out from a shockwave, bringing the battle to a 1-on-1. Chizune, I choose you! Richie sends out his newest catch, with Ghastly trying to do its comedy routine, with this working to make Sabrina laugh and to distract Kadabra long enough to allow Ghastly to knock out Kadabra with a Nightshade. Richie then gets his 5th gym badge. The episode ends with Ghastly communicating to Richie, saying that it wants to stay with Sabrina. So Richie walks back up to Sabrina and hands her Ghastly's Pokeball. Episode 20. The next day, Ash and friends come back to the gym after allowing Sabrina some time to heal up her Pokemon. However, Ash also trained with Richie to increase the power of his team, allowing Butterfree to learn Bug Buzz in preparation for this battle. Sabrina sets the same conditions as last time, a 3-on-3 single battle, where only Ash can make substitutions. Ash, thinking Sabrina is going to use the same team as last time, picks Butterfree, Charmander, and Haunter to battle Sabrina. Sabrina calls out Mr. Mime, Ash declaring, "Butterfree, I choose you!" As Brock commends Ash for his smart thinking, since Psychic types are weak to bug Pokemon as well. Ash begins the battle by ordering Butterfree to use Poison Powder, with Mr. Mime being hit with Poison Powder, putting Mr. Mime on the clock, which is rather advantageous for Ash due to the fact that Sabrina can't switch out her Pokemon. Butterfree then decides to go on the offensive and use Bug Buzz, which causes super effective damage to Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime then takes a bit of damage due to poison. Ash tells his bug to go on the offensive, allowing Ash to take the lead in the battle after another Bug Buzz. Sabrina calls back Mr. Mime and sends in Slowbro. Ash is rather surprised by this choice, since he thought that Sabrina would have sent an Exeggutor, like she did against Richie. Brock then reminds Ash that he can't always expect gym leaders to use the same Pokemon for every battle. They like to mix it up to keep challengers on their toes. Ash then orders Butterfree to use Sleep Powder to try and put Slowbro to sleep. This works, allowing Butterfree to hit Slowbro with constant Bug Buzzes, although this eventually causes Slowbro to wake up and knock out Butterfree with a flamethrower. Ash is surprised that a water type can learn a fire type attack, with Sabrina deciding to inform Ash that she taught Slowbro how to use Flamethrower to counter any bug Pokemon challengers may bring into her gym. Ash then decides to call in Haunter next, with Haunter managing to finish off the weakened Slowbro with 2 Shadow Punches, taking the battle into a 2-on-1 in Ash's favor. Sabrina decides that playtime is over and decides to call out Kadabra. Ash orders Haunter to go in for a Shadow Punch, with Kadabra using Psychic to hold Haunter in place, with this almost knocking out Haunter due to the super effective Psychic attack. Ash decides to call back Haunter for now to let it rest. Ash then sends out Charmander as his 3rd Pokemon. While Charmander does manage to put up a good fight with Flamethrower and even manages to land some chip damage with Fire Spin, it ultimately gets knocked out by Kadabra's Psychic, bringing the battle to a 1-on-1. Ash then calls back his Haunter, with Ash ordering a Shadow Ball from Haunter, which brings Kadabra close to fainting. Haunter then charges up a Shadow Punch, knocking out Kadabra. The episode ends with Ash receiving his Marsh Badge and leaving the gym. Episode 21. Ash and Co. are at the Pokemon Center, where Ash sees a flyer for a tournament at Saffron City's Fighting Dojo, being sponsored by Bruno of the Elite Four, as a way to bring some publicity to his former gym. Ash discovers that the top 3 prizes are for the one that wins the tournament, either a Hitmonlee, Hitmonchan, or Hitmontop of the winner's choice. Second place gets the pre-evolution of the Hitmon trio, Tyrogue, and third place gets an expert belt. Ash learns from Nurse Joy that the Fighting Dojo is actually next to the Saffron Gym. Ash, Misty, Brock, and Richie end up heading towards the Fighting Dojo in order to register for the tournament. After Ash and Co. register for the tournament, they learn that only 16 trainers can compete, and that they were the last 4 to arrive. Brock suggests trying to get to know the other competitors, with Ash seeing that Celine, Samurai, AJ, and Tristan are all here. Ashton asks Celine where Gary is, with the girl saying that he felt he was too good for this tournament. Ashton asks Celine how many badges she has now, with the girl replying with 4. Ashton says that they have the same amount then. Ashton asks AJ how many he has, with AJ saying he has 6 badges. Ash and AJ then promise each other that they'll meet in the finals. Bruno then arrives and tries to get everyone's attention, with Bruno sending his Machamp out to try and help with that. Bruno then explains the purpose of this tournament is to get trainers prepared for the Pokemon League tournament by having them battle on up to 4 different battlefields, being a water field, a grass field, an ice field, and a rock field. But due to the fact that they have only 16 competitors in this tournament, trainers will only get to battle on 3 of the 4 battlefields before moving into the Fighting Dojo battlefield for the finals. The episode ends with Bruno announcing the matchups for the first round, and which field these battles will be taking place on. Episode 22. Ash learns that due to the fact that they only have 4 battlefields, the matches will be split into groups, with matches 1 through 4 taking place in the first half of the day, and matches 5 through 8 taking place in the second half, with a lunch break in between. Ash learns that his match is number 2 on the ice field against Joey. But first, let's go over to Richie's match on the grass field first. By the time Ash arrives, he learns that the battles in the first round are one-on-one, with Richie's Psyduck against Mandy's Golbat. Richie orders Psyduck to use Confusion to try and hit Golbat, although Mandy orders a Mega Drain, sapping Psyduck's health. Richie asks Psyduck if he can go on, with Psyduck getting back up and evolving into Golduck, finishing off Golbat with an Ice Beam and taking Richie into the top 8. Ashton hurries to get back to the ice field and picks Eevee against Joey's Raticate. Ash sends his Eevee out onto the ice battlefield, with Ash explaining to his partner that he wants his first battle in this tournament to be with her. Joey orders his rat to go in for a crunch, while Ash orders Eevee to fend off Raticate with Double Kick before coating herself in flames and using Sizzly Slide to make quick work of Raticate, taking Ash into the top 8. Celine's match is third, battling Misty on the water field. Misty picks her Staryu as Celine picks her Poliwhirl. The battle begins with Staryu heading into the water, with Celine recognizing this strategy from Misty's sisters. So Celine has Poliwhirl charge up an Ice Punch to try and freeze the water. Misty, recognizing this, quickly orders Staryu to try and get out of the water, which, luckily for Misty, it manages to get out before Poliwhirl fires the Ice Punch. Celine then orders Poliwhirl to use Mud Shot to try and blind Staryu, as Poliwhirl then uses Body Slam to take Misty out of the tournament. Celine then tells Misty that she put up a good fight, especially since Poliwhirl was one of her first catches. Ash, Richie, Misty, and Celine decide to go check out Samurai's match, But by the time they get there, it's already over, with Aaron's Rhyhorn taking out Samurai's Pinsir. After lunch, Ash and Co. decide to head over to Brock's match, after finding out that Assunta won the first match of the second half of the day. Brock then meets Alfred on the ice field. Brock decides to pick Geodude to fight against Alfred's Ponyta. Brock calls out Geodude and orders a Mega Punch, with Alfred ordering a Flamethrower, although this doesn't do that much, mainly due to Geodude's quad resistance to fire attacks. Brock then orders Geodude to use multiple rock throws to try and take Ponyta out of the fight. Ponyta manages to bear through this and uses Bounce, which doesn't really do that much to Geodude. Geodude then uses Rock Throw to knock out Ponyta and advance Brock to the top 8. Ash then learns that Tristan's match is next. So they head to that, but learn that Tristan already won the match with his trusty Flareon. Ash and Co. head over to the water field to watch AJ's match. AJ starts the match by calling out his newest Pokemon, Electabuzz, against Tom's Seaking. Electabuzz ends up making quick work of Tom's Seaking with a powerful Thunderbolt, mainly due to Seaking being a water type, but also being in water, which makes it really vulnerable to electric attacks, due to water being an excellent conductor of electricity. The episode ends with Bruno revealing the top 8 matchups to be Ash vs. Richie, Celine vs. Aaron, Brock vs. Assunta, and AJ vs. Tristan. And the rules for the top 8 having 2-on-2 battles. Episode 23. Ash and Co. head off to their respective battlefields to begin their respective battles, with Ash's battle being first. Ash picks Bulbasaur and Squirtle to battle Richie's Machoke and Pikachu. Ash and Richie call out, "Muscle, I choose you! Squirtle, I choose you!" Machoke and Squirtle come out, with Ash ordering Squirtle to begin the battle with Water Gun. Richie then orders a Leer to decrease Squirtle's defense. Squirtle then uses a Rapid Spin to try and hit Machoke for big damage, although Richie orders Machoke to grab Squirtle to stop it and then use Thunder Punch, as Machoke's fist is coated in electricity, with Squirtle almost being knocked out from this electric attack. Ash asks Squirtle if he can go on, with Squirtle looking at Machoke with newfound determination as Squirtle begins to glow, as Ash is surprised that Squirtle is evolving as it evolves into Wartortle, as it knocks out Machoke with a newly powered up Water Gun and Rapid Spin combo move, allowing Ash to take the lead in this fight. Ash calls back Wartortle for now, as the two send out their second Pokemon. Ash and Richie call out Bulbasaur and Pikachu. Ash then asks his friend where he got his Pikachu, with the boy saying that he saw it walking along Route 1 after appearing to have been released by his former trainer. The battle resumes, with Richie ordering his Pikachu to use Thunderbolt, although Bulbasaur resists this due to grass types resisting electric attacks. Bulbasaur then goes for a Razor Leaf, which connects, doing decent damage to Pikachu. Richie then orders Pikachu to use Agility and then Quick Attack, allowing Pikachu to Speed Blitz Bulbasaur. Ash asks Bulbasaur if he can go on, with Bulbasaur managing to get back up and finishing off Pikachu with another Razor Leaf, advancing Ash to the top 4. Richie and Ash walk to the center of the battlefield and shake hands, congratulating each other on a good match, with Ash saying that they should get over to Celine's match We move over to Celine's match, where we see the battle is down to a one-on-one, with Celine using her Meowth against Aaron's Ponyta. Meowth goes in for a slash as Ponyta uses Stomp. Meowth manages to dodge and connect with a critical hit slash, and finishes off Ponyta with Fury Swipes, giving Celine the second spot in the top 4. Brock is next, using his Geodude and Zubat into Sunta's Growlithe and Venonat. Venonat and Zubat come out first, with Venonat using Confusion to hit Zubat for big damage, with Brock ordering Zubat to use Wing Attack to hit Venonat for decent damage. Venonat charges up another Confusion, and Zubat goes in for another Wing Attack. The attacks collide, resulting in a double knockout, bringing the battle to a one-on-one. Brock and Assunta call out Growlithe and Geodude as their final Pokemon. Assunta orders Growlithe to go in for a bite, although Brock orders a Defense Curl from his Rock type, with Brock then ordering a Rock Throw to deal super effective damage on Growlithe, although Growlithe decides to use Flame Wheel to try and defend against Rock Throw. Geodude then decides to show a new move it's been working on in secret, Rock Tomb, with Geodude managing to get the knockout on Growlithe. Geodude then starts to glow from the experience and evolves into Graveler. Brock then moves on to the semifinals. Lastly is Tristan's match against AJ. The battle is currently a 2-on-1 in AJ's favor, with Tristan's Flareon fighting off AJ's Beedrill. The battle resumes with Flareon using Flamethrower on Beedrill, almost taking it down, although Beedrill manages to poison Flareon with Toxic. Tristan, knowing that Flareon is on the clock due to the poison, and decides to go for one last gambit and uses their most powerful fire type attack, Fire Blast, with this move managing to knock out Beedrill and make the battle a one-on-one. Although Flareon is rather tired from the battle with Beedrill, and AJ's second Pokemon hasn't battled yet, AJ decides to call out a Pokemon that he caught rather recently, Tentacruel. Tentacruel then makes quick work of Flareon with a Surf, giving AJ the last spot in the semifinals and ending Tristan's run in the tournament. Ash is a bit bummed he couldn't get to battle Tristan at the tournament, but Tristan tells Ash that there's always a chance they can battle at the Indigo League. The episode ends, the semi-final matches being Ash versus Celine and Brock versus AJ. Episode 24. Ash and Celine head over to the rock field, with Ash picking Eevee and Charmander, and Celine's Ivysaur and Jigglypuff. Ash and Celine send out their starters first, with Ivysaur beginning the battle by using Growth to increase its offensive stats. Ivysaur then uses Razor Leaf, with Ash ordering Eevee to use Sizzly Slide as a way to defend herself from the Razor Leaf, while doing significant damage to Ivysaur. Ivysaur is burned from this, so Celine decides to call it back for Jigglypuff, with Celine saying that she caught it outside Mount Moon. Jigglypuff uses Double Slap, although Eevee decides to use Double Kick. Jigglypuff responds by using Sing, which puts Eevee to sleep. Celine then orders Jigglypuff to use Pound multiple times, which leaves Eevee rather close to fainting, although this has the downside of waking up Eevee, with the Fox using Zippy Zap to knock out Jigglypuff, taking the battle into a 2-on-1 with Ash's favor. Celine calls out Ivysaur again, with Ivysaur managing to take out Eevee with some difficulty. Ash then calls out his Charmander, with Charmander being able to finish the fight. after Eevee already weakened Ivysaur during their battle, giving Ash the first spot in the finals. AJ then fights Brock, AJ telling Brock how he defeated his father's whole team with just his Tentacruel. AJ then sends out his Tentacruel to battle Brock's Onix. Brock manages to put up a good fight, although AJ's Tentacruel and Electabuzz win AJ the second spot in the finals. The episode ends with Ash and AJ preparing their teams for the finals. Episode 25. The next morning, Ash and AJ head to the center battlefield of the Fighting Dojo, with Bruno announcing the battle as a 3-on-3. Ash and AJ then send out their first Pokemon, being Rapidash for AJ and Wartortle for Ash. AJ compliments Ash on the fact that he was smart enough to pick a Pokemon with a type advantage. Ash gets angered by this and orders his Wartortle to use Water Pulse. However, AJ orders his horse to dodge and use Takedown, causing some recoil damage. Ash orders Wartortle to use Water Gun, which manages to connect, causing Rapidash's health to go down a bit. AJ orders Rapidash to use Will-O-Wisp, causing Wartortle to get burned. Ash orders Wartortle to use that Water Gun and Rapid Spin combo move they used on Richie, which causes significant damage to Rapidash, almost knocking it out. AJ then orders Rapidash to charge up Solar Beam, with Ash ordering his Wartortle to take out Rapidash quickly before it fires that Solar Beam, with Wartortle firing a Water Pulse and Rapidash, with Rapidash falling, taking AJ down to 2. AJ thinks to himself, it's impressive that Ash managed to defeat one of his strongest Pokemon. AJ calls out his Electabuzz as his second Pokemon, with Electabuzz managing Thunderbolt to finish off Wartortle without breaking a sweat to even the score. Ash thinks about which of his Pokemon would be best to deal with Electabuzz, with Ash picking his Bulbasaur to battle Electabuzz. Brock thinks to himself that Ash is definitely using his head more in this battle. Ash orders Bulbasaur to use Vine Whip, although AJ decides to order a Brick Break, hitting Bulbasaur for decent damage. Bulbasaur then uses Poison Powder to put Electabuzz on the clock. AJ thinks that with Electabuzz being poisoned, he'd either have to switch it out or try and finish the battle quickly, with AJ deciding to take the more cautious approach and calling back Electabuzz for his third Pokemon, Dodrio, with Dodrio using Drill Peck to make quick work of Bulbasaur, making the battle a 2-on-1 in AJ's favor. Ash decides to call out Eevee as his last Pokemon, with Eevee stepping out on the battlefield, ready for battle. Ash then orders Eevee to use Quick Attack to charge in and hit Dodrio for decent damage. AJ then orders his Dodrio to use Tri Attack, with Eevee being hit for decent damage. Ash then orders Eevee to use Zippy Zap, hurting herself in electricity, allowing Eevee to do significant damage to Dodrio, leaving it paralyzed. AJ then orders another Tri Attack, while Eevee uses Sizzly Slide to clash against this, knocking out Dodrio, leaving AJ with just his Electabuzz. Electabuzz comes out as AJ orders Electabuzz to use Brick Break, which does a lot of damage on Eevee. Ash sees that Eevee is at her limit, and so decides to go for one last move by using Sizzly Slide again, with AJ ordering his Electabuzz to dodge and slam Eevee with a Brick Break, knocking her out and winning AJ the tournament. The episode ends with Ash, AJ, and Celine receiving their prizes, with AJ picking a powerful Hitmonchan, while Ash receives a Tyrogue and Celine gets the expert belt. And that's where we'll leave things. So what did you guys think about this part? What are your thoughts on the new additions to Ash's team in Haunter, Wartortle, and Tyrogue? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Before I sign off for today, I'd like to thank James Holland for becoming a channel member. I'll go ahead and get on out of here. Peace!